Welcome back to my channel. It is officially wedding season and I'm super excited. This is the first of several wedding makeup look ideas that I hope to film for you guys. This is a really light kind of dusty rose eye look with a dusty rose lip as well, with some pretty dramatic lashes, and I focused a lot on the skin because so many brides want their skin to look really flawless and smooth and pretty for their big day, but they also want the makeup to last, and the foundation is the most important part to the whole makeup look. And if you don't have your foundation right, everything else will start to move around and just not look pretty. So having a good solid foundation is going to just make everything stay put throughout the day. If you have any other ideas for wedding makeup looks that you would like me to film, please let me know. Like I said, I do have some ideas, but I'm totally open for suggestions as well. So if you're at all interested in seeing how I came up with this look, then please keep watching. Alright guys, so the first thing that I want to do before I start doing my makeup is I want to prep the skin, and I also want to prep the lips. So for my lips, I'm using this Milani Keep It Smooth Luxe Lip Treatment. Applying a little bit of this in the beginning of my makeup routine allows it to have a little bit of time to really absorb into the lips before I apply any kind of lip products, so that they're just really nice and smooth and hydrated. Of course, before you do wedding makeup, especially, you want to make sure that you wash your face, that you cleanse it, that you even exfoliate it to clean out those pores and pull out any of the gunk that might be stuck in there, so that you can have a nice clean surface for your makeup. So I've already cleansed, I've already exfoliated, and now I'm going to moisturize. I've been using this Aveno Daily Moisture Body Yogurt for my face. I know that seems really weird because it's a body yogurt, but I kid you not, this makes my skin on my face as soft as a baby's bottom. I don't even know what made me think to use this. I think one day I ran out of the moisturizer that I typically use on my face, and so I just grabbed this really quick and put some on my face before I did my makeup, and I loved how my makeup applied. Of course, before your wedding day, you want to make sure that whatever you use on your face is not going to cause any breakouts, it's not going to clog your pores really bad or anything like that. I haven't had any trouble with this, but again, give yourself a couple weeks to try a product like this before you use it on your wedding day, just to make sure that nothing crazy like that happens. But yeah, I'm totally loving this right now, and it smells so good. I do my eye makeup before I do my foundation. You don't want to have any crazy fallout all over your cheeks, and it also just gives a little bit more longevity for your foundation when you apply that last, so it's nice and fresh. And this gives the moisturizer enough time to really like absorb into the skin. Press it in to the skin, especially in my porous areas. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to grab a concealer. I like to use this Maybelline Master Conceal and use that as an eyelid primer, and I want to prime my lids really, really good before I do my eye makeup. Creating a nice base helps the eyeshadow stay on longer, and it also just helps the eyeshadow pop even more. So I always make sure to do this, especially for anything where I'm going to need the makeup to last long and I'm going to want it to really show. I grab a little concealer brush, and then I just brush a bunch of it all over the lid, and then I use my finger just to kind of rub it in. Oh, of course, I've already got foundation in my hair, guys. Next thing that I want to do is I want to set that concealer on my lids to prevent creasing from happening. So I'm going to grab the Buff Collection palette by Pure Cosmetics. I love this palette. It's a very pretty rosy gold palette. I'm going to grab this quartz eyeshadow over here, and I'm going to place that all over my lid to set my concealer. Next, I'm going to grab this shade right here called Dune, and I'm going to place that all in my crease as a transition shade. And I'm going to bring it all the way into the inner corner and all the way to the outer corner. And I'm just going to keep building on that color until I am happy. I definitely suggest doing a little bit at a time and gradually adding the color instead of just putting tons on your lid at once, because that is so much harder to blend out. Next, I'm going to grab Clay right here. It's a little bit darker than that Dune shade, and I'm really going to focus this on the outer V area of the eye. This is the Lexi 237. I love this one for my small lids. I'm just focusing that color, building up on it, and bringing it only about 1/3 of the way in and stopping there on the lid. And then whatever's left on the brush, bringing it in toward the inner corner, staying in the crease. Then I'll come back in with that same brush I used for my transition shade and blend out those edges. Now I'm going to grab a smaller, more dense brush, and I'm going to pick up a combination of Clay and Desert just to add a little bit more dimension on the outer part of the eye. And of course, I want to come back in with that fluffy brush again, just to soften up all of the edges, make sure everything blends together nicely. Now I'm going to grab this Studio Makeup on the Go palette. It is the Cool Down palette. It's got a bunch of pretty cool tone purpley mauve-y shades in it. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of this shade right here. It's got... I apologize for the sounds of my screaming children and my husband. They're playing in the other room. I will try to talk over it. But it's got this really pretty sheen to it. It's not too shimmery, but it's going to look really pretty on the lid. Then I want to go ahead and grab a little bit of the shade right here called I think it's Mohave? Mohave, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And I want to place that right in the center of the lid, kind of as a transition between the shade that I put on the outer corner and that shade that I just applied. I'm going to use this NYX Epic Ink Liner. I'm not going to do a wing, but I am going to draw a very thin line right along my lash line. I'm doing this to create a little bit more definition and also to help my false lashes blend better with my natural lashes. The easiest way to do that is to keep this turned sideways like this and use your finger to brace your hand. And then I just stop right on the outer corner of my lid. Just very carefully bring it down a little bit more, keeping it super, super close to the lash line, just like that. And that's all I'm going to do for liner. Now I'm going to grab some mascara. This is the Essence Lash Princess. Ugh, can't talk. This is not a waterproof mascara, but I definitely recommend using a waterproof mascara on your wedding day and a waterproof eyeliner as well if you require, like me. It's definitely a necessity. You want to make sure that you get all the way to the base of your lashes. Just kind of wiggle it at the bottom. I seriously love these lashes. They might be a little bit too dramatic for some. Let's just do a smaller, more wispy lash. Does not, I mean, you don't even have to wear lashes on your wedding day, but if you're like me and you want your lashes to steal the show, then these are awesome lashes. Instead of priming my face, I'm just going to spray a little bit of Fix Plus on my face before I apply foundation, just to give it a little something extra to stick to. For foundation, I am using this Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. This foundation is incredible. It is so long wearing. It is beautiful once it's applied. It's buildable, so you don't have to have full coverage if you don't want to, but you definitely can get full coverage from this foundation. I have worn this several times for 12 plus hours, and my makeup still looked really good at the end of the day, even for someone like me who has really oily skin. So this is definitely a holy grail foundation in my book. The foundation that I'm using is in the shade 1C1. It's called Cool Bone. I'm gonna go ahead and dot this all over my face first. I personally am going for a more full coverage look, just because for me, if it was my wedding day all over again, I would be more about wanting my skin to look very seamless. So that's kind of the look that I'm going for here. So I'm putting a generous amount on my face. And to blend out that foundation, I am using this crown brush. I love this for blending out foundation, not only flawlessly, but quickly. Honestly, this is like my new go-to thing for my foundation. I never thought that I would like using a brush for foundation, just because I felt like it moved the foundation around too much and it didn't get into all the nooks and crannies like I'd want it to, but I definitely have changed my mind and I am in love with this thing. Then I just come back in with a beauty blender and just pounce a little bit more of that product into my problem areas for a little extra coverage. I know this is weird, but I'll even take my finger over my really porous areas and just press that foundation in. Obviously, if you're doing, you know, somebody else's makeup, you might not want to do this, but if it's your own face, just make sure your finger is clean. And for my oily skin and for my large pores, I feel like this just helps melt the foundation into those areas even better, and the surface is just so much more smooth. So I always do this now. It seems like a lot of steps for the foundation, but really for your wedding day, it's probably a good idea to spend a little extra time blending your makeup in, so that not only does it look smooth and beautiful, but so that it lasts for the entire day. You're gonna be doing lots of dancing, lots of hugging, probably lots of nervous sweating, and so you wanna make sure your makeup is gonna hold up for you. So it's definitely worth spending, you know, a good 10 minutes on just your skin. For concealer, I'm coming in with my Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Fair, and this is a really full coverage concealer and it can look really heavy if you're not careful. So I really try to be a little bit more sparing with this. A little bit on the forehead, down the center of the nose, Cupid's bow, and chin. And I just start pressing that into the under eye area gently. And this is another thing, you just want to take your time with it. Make sure it's blended in really nicely. And just like before, I like to use my finger just to press that concealer into my more porous areas, just to make sure I've got a nice smooth surface. I swear this step has been life-changing in my foundation routine. Seems so simple, but I just never had done it before. And I don't think I ever can go back. To set my face, I'm going to use this NYX HD Studio Finishing Powder. It is a loose setting powder, and I will use this to set my entire face, but my under eye area, I want to kind of semi-bake. Take like a flat top brush like this that's more dense and just pack the finishing powder underneath my eye with that. And I'll let that sit for a few minutes to really melt into the skin. Whatever is left on that brush, I'll just go ahead and set the rest of my face as well. While I'm letting that bake, I'm going to go ahead and bronze up my face a little bit. So for this wedding look, I don't want to do any kind of heavy contouring. I do want to add some more color back into the face, but I want it to be a little bit more natural. I will contour, but I will just contour a little bit. So what I'm going to do is grab kind of a larger fluffy brush like this, and I'm using this Milani. It's actually a face powder, but it's a few shades darker than my skin tone. By a few shades, I mean like 4 or 5 shades probably darker than my natural skin tone, but I really love using this for a bronzer. It's in the shade medium tan. It's matte, and so it's not like shimmery. It looks a little bit more natural and sun-kissed. It's warm, but it's not too warm. I feel like it's just the perfect bronzer shade for my skin tone. Go ahead and apply that all over my cheekbones, and then my temples, along the hairline, and then I'll also run it along my jawline as well. So as you can see, it's just bringing back some color into my face, making me look a little bit more alive again. But I'm keeping that under eye area really bright still. And if it's too intense, you can come back in with that brush that you used for your under eyes and just kind of blend it a little bit more, and that'll soften up the intensity of the color. For blush, I'm going to use this City Color matte blush. It's a really pretty rosy pink shade. It goes really good with the eye look, and I feel like for really fair skin tones, this is a really beautiful color to give a more natural blush look. And so I'm going to go ahead and very lightly dab that onto my cheeks and brush it backward. Be careful not to be too intense with it. And blend it back toward my temple. Again, if you find the blush too intense, you can come back in with that powder brush just to soften it up a little bit. Then I'm going to grab this e.l.f. blush brush. I love using this to dust off the powder from underneath my eyes. It's really soft and it's got that dome tip, so it's really easy to get right into the corner. And because it's so soft, I feel like it just gently takes off that product, and so that the it doesn't move the foundation or concealer underneath the powder. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and finish up the eyes. First, I'm going to grab this NYX eye pencil, and it is in the shade white, and I'm going to run that along my lower waterline and a little bit on the lower lash line. It's going to really help open up the eyes, and the little bit on the lower lash line is also going to create a nice like neutral slate to apply the shadow that I'm going to be putting down there in just a minute. Sometimes it helps to warm up the pencil on the back of your hand first before applying it in the waterline. Just glides on a little bit smoother that way. For the lower lash line, I'm going to grab a combination of Clay and Desert again. Make sure to tap that out. Using a flat brush like this really helps with being more precise and keeping it closer to the lash line, which is what I want. Just like the top, I'm building up the color until I'm happy with the intensity of it, instead of trying to pack too much on at once. Of course, I'll add a little bit of mascara to the lower lash line. For the inner corners of my eyes and the brow bone, I'm going to grab this Studio on the Go palette again. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this really light shimmery purple color. It just looks gorgeous. Doing this also helps to open up the eyes even more. And then I'll add the tiniest bit to the brow bone right here. Not too much though, I don't want the shimmer up there to be too intense. To highlight, I am using this Milani highlighter. It is in the shade Moon Glow. I didn't realize how many Milani things I'm using in this tutorial. It is not a Milani tutorial at all. It is not sponsored. I'm just apparently in love with more Milani products than I realized. I'm gonna grab a fluffy angled brush like this one. This Milani highlighter is actually really pigmented, so I go in really lightly with it. For wedding makeup, I don't really like to get too ham on the highlight, just because with photos and all that, a lot of brides really don't want to shine that much. Now if you do, it's totally a preference thing, and you can add a little bit more, make it more intense to suit your style, your preference. And then I will take just a small little dense brush, and I'll put a little bit of this highlight right on the tip of my nose, per usual, you know, the exclamation mark, and then along the bridge of the nose as well. I have discovered that doing the highlight before the nose contouring is actually so much easier for me. It's just a really nice guide for getting the right width and being more precise with that nose contour. I'm gonna grab a small little pencil brush and this IT Cosmetics My Sculpted Face Palette, and I'm gonna pick up this cool tone brown shade right here. I'm gonna go right along the sides of that highlight, just using that highlight as a guide. So I'm using a really light hand for this. And honestly, you could even skip this part and just use the highlight, and that looks fine as well. With a lot of the things that I've done, it's really about preference. Whatever's gonna make you most comfortable, whatever you feel like looks best on you is what matters. These are just kind of general ideas. I like to put a little bit on the tip of the nose as well. Then I'll take that fluffy brush that I used to remove the powder from underneath my eyes, and I just like to run that along the sides of the nose where I place that contour shade, just to soften it up a little bit, because you don't want that to look too crazy. This just helps it look a little more natural. You can even soften up that highlight a little bit if you need to. I'm gonna grab a small fluffy kind of dome tipped brush. This is a Lexi 660 brush. I love using this for contouring, especially when I don't want to do any kind of intense contouring. I just want it to be a little bit of extra definition on the cheekbones. So I'm gonna grab that same cool tone brown shade that I used for my nose and just go right along the hollows of the cheeks, kind of stopping about right here. For lips, I'm first going to come in with this Italia Deluxe lip liner. It's in the shade Dusty Rose. Goes pretty well with the theme of this look, and I'm going to line my lips with it, and then I'm going to fill in my lips with it. The reason why I like to fill in the lips after I line them is because it's just an extra layer of coverage. So if your lipstick starts to fade a little bit throughout the day, that you still have some color there, this just helps your lip color stay on longer. For lipstick, I am using this ColourPop Satin Lip. I cannot remember the shade because it is faded off, but I will have it down below so you guys know. But I love this color, and it helps tone down that lip liner just a little bit. I'll come back in with that lip liner. Just add some more definition to the outer corners. I'm trying to top while I'm doing my lipstick. It's not working out for me. Of course, you do not want to forget to set your face. I'm coming back in with this MAC Fix Plus spray. and I am going to spray the heck out of my face. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and it gave you some ideas for your big day. I love this makeup look. It is really soft and pretty, of course with some dramatic lashes because that's just how I roll, but you don't have to be dramatic with your lashes. You could totally use our Demi Wispies are a really great choice. They're wispy and pretty, but they're not quite as intense as these lashes are, but I just love how everything looks together. If you did like this look, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I'm planning on doing at least a couple more wedding makeup looks, kind of creating a series out of it since we're right in the middle of wedding season and I've got a couple more ideas up my sleeve. So love you guys so much, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!